The purpose of this tutorial is to provide guidance to course coordinators on how to incorporate Collaborate Ultra into your course shell. After viewing this tutorial, you will be able to activate a BBC link using Ultra in your course. The first step is to ensure you have access to the editing tools in Moodle. This is done by turning editing on by clicking on the button at the top right corner of your course page. The next step will be to identify where in the course you will want the BBC link to appear. Typically, courses add this link to the header section of the course, as I have done here. To add the BBC link, you will use the Add an Activity or Resource link that is associated with the section where you want the link to appear. This is the same link you used in creating BBC links in previous courses. For the purposes of this tutorial, I will be adding a new BBC link for coaching sessions and team meetings. I will add this link below the link that was used for the Kickoff BBC. By clicking on the Add an Activity or Resource link, I will get the pop-up screen for the tool. As you can see, the familiar BBC icon is no longer part of the list that is available here. Instead, in order to create a BBC Ultra link, you will need to use the External Tool selection in this menu. After selecting the External Tool item, click on the Add button at the bottom of the tool. You will then be presented a page where you will create the primary link for your BBC sessions. The first item you want to fill out will be the name of the link. For this example, I am setting up this link for coaching sessions and team meetings, so I will name it that way. Below the name for your link, you will then need to select the Blackboard Collaborate Ultra from the pull-down list for pre-configured tools. This is located just below the name you have entered. For the most part, you will not need to modify any of the other settings in the initial setup. Unlike the previous version of BBC, you will have the ability to create multiple sessions with different settings for each session. So it is recommended that you simply set up the link name and then click the Save and Return to Course button at the bottom of the page. When you create a new activity, such as this BBC link, the item will appear at the bottom of the section you are working on. You will need to move this item into the proper position on your page by using the drag and drop icon next to the item. After you have moved it to the place you want, you are ready to set up the session settings. To create a session, click on the BBC link you have created to open up the link page. The link page allows you to manage your BBC sessions, which I will describe later. In this course, I had a previous BBC link that was created, and you can see that it is already appearing on this page. However, when you create your first link, you will only see the button to create a session. By clicking on the button, you will get the session creation screen that pops up on the right side of your screen. The first thing you want to do is create a name for the session. As I have said, I am setting this session up for my coaching sessions and team meetings, so I will identify it in that way. Once the name is created, the system will automatically generate the links for the meetings. We will return to this in a bit. You now will enter the start and end dates of the session. If this is a session link that will be repeatedly used over the semester, you may want to keep the session open. To do this, simply select the checkbox labeled No End, which is located below the session dates and times. However, if your session has a specific schedule, you would want to have a specified start and end date and time. In this case, then, you would want to set the interval of time prior to the session that participants may enter the room. The default setting is 15 minutes, but you have the option to keep the room closed until the start time, or you can set the entry time to be up to an hour before the session. At this point, you can enter a description for your session. Given that we have 2 coaches conducting sessions in this course, I'm going to enter a short description identifying that this link is for the CCs participating in my coaching group. Now you are ready to enter the detailed setting for the session. There are a number of options for you to consider. The first option identifies the default role for guests in the session. This is primarily the link you will use to invite students, so select the participant role since course coordinators and tutors will enter the session as moderators when they enter the session from the course. If moderators join the session via the link you provide to students, you will need to grant them moderator privilege when they enter the session. The next setting relates to recordings and chats. If you select the Allow Recording Downloads, students will be able to download the recording of your session and listen to it offline. If this is not selected, students will be required to be online in the course to listen to the recording. The other item here is to make chats anonymous. It is recommended that you do not select this item, as you may wish to review remarks made in the chat and would want to identify the authors of the comments. Next, you have control of the images presented during the session. This option will only display pictures of the moderators during the live session. However, it is nice to see your students' faces, so we recommend that you do not select this option. Then you can control the privileges of the participants. Of these, the only one you may want to limit is the ability to draw on the whiteboard. If you deselect this option, you will always have the ability to grant the privilege to a student during the session. Deselecting this avoids any unwanted visuals being added to your whiteboard. Lastly, you may want to consider whether you want the moderators to view and supervise private chats among participants. If you do, then make sure this item is selected. After you have made these selections, you then click the Save button and your session will be created and ready to use. It will appear on the link page along with any other sessions you have created. Now that your session link is created, you will manage the session link from this page. By clicking on the 3-dot icon on the right side of the page, you will see you have several options. You can edit your session or make changes to the settings. You can view reports after the session has been conducted. You can delete the session, or you can copy the guest link in order to include it in a message inviting people to attend. Remember though, the guest link provides access as a participant, so tutors should enter the session via the course room. Because this session is new, there are no reports for me to show you. However, by going to our Kickoff BBC link, I can demonstrate what you will be able to see. Clicking on the View Report option will open the Reports page for the session link. Here you can see several instances where we were testing the link. However, by scrolling down, you will find the sessions we held with all participants. By clicking on the report icon on the right side of the page, the session report will be displayed. This report identifies for you the individuals who participated in the session, indicating when they logged in and how long they were in the session. It also indicates if they were dropped and re-entered the session. Lastly, from the session link page, you are able to verify when recordings are available. By selecting the menu in the upper left corner, you will find a link to the recordings page. The recordings page will provide links to all recordings within a 30-day period. Using the three-dot icon on the right next to the recording listing, you and students have the option of streaming the video or downloading the video file for viewing later. As a course coordinator or tutor, you will also see the option to delete the video or copy the link to the recording to provide students via a message. This concludes the tutorial on integrating BBC Ultra into your course shell. We hope it helps you through this course setup. If you have further questions, you can contact your learning support specialist to assist you.